very good evening to you. I'm Lisa Broom. This is the CBC Evening News. The polls have closed just after voting was extended to 7 o'clock, and Trinidadians are now awaiting the outcome of today's general elections as counting begins. Well, heavy rains accompanied by thunder and lightning may have had some effect on voting in Trinidad and Tobago today as the country elected a new government. The rains left many streets flooded and some roads impassable, and at many polling stations there were no signs of voters in queues waiting to cast their ballots. There are an estimated just over 1 million people eligible to vote in that election, which is seen as a straight fight between the coalition People's Partnership, headed by Prime Minister Kamla Persad-Bissessar, and the main opposition People's National Movement, headed by Dr. Keith Rowley. We have more in this report.
The rains could well play a pivotal role in the outcome of the elections, in which the main opposition People's National Movement, the PNM, is seeking to oust the coalition People's Partnership. But some people were determined to cast their ballot despite the inclement weather. Prime Minister Kamla Persad-Bissessar, who is seeking a second consecutive term in office, cast her ballot in South Trinidad and said she was also confident of victory.
I think I've done my best. I really tried to do the best that I could. I think we have done very, very well. And there's little more else I can do at this point, except to leave it in the hands of the people and in the hands of the Lord. I feel quite confident. We have done a lot of work in terms of achievement. I think we have maintained a really very peaceful and calm election campaign. In fact, someone called me today and said, even though this was one of the longest campaigns, it has been one of the most peaceful campaigns.
But the man who is seeking her job, Dr. Keith Rowley, is also equally confident that the PNM would be victorious.
I'm feeling very confident that the PNM will do very well today. We have prepared ourselves very well, and we've run a very good campaign. I'm very pleased with the campaign we've run, and I was very pleased with the response from the population. So now it's all in the hands of the electorate. Another few hours we'd know.
Austin Jack Warner, the leader of the Independent Liberal Party, the ILP, is confident that his 2-year-old grouping will play a significant role in the outcome of the elections.
This is the first ILP vote to be delivered in this constituency, right? And at here, more, the ILP will get enough to go in the parliament. That I'm sure. This is one of the seats that I look forward to of winning. Shawana's East also, and that toss between Tokos and Grandi and Kumuto. So 3-4 seats will be what I need. I don't need any case. I don't need more than 3 seats. That's what I need. So I'm okay.
Well, let's check in now with CCN TV6 in Trinidad to see what's happening there.
She says the EBC is called in wrong, lengthening the voting hours in Trinidad, and it signals inequality of treatment. Well, that story takes us to tonight's People Meter. We're asking, do you think voting hours should also have been extended in Tobago? To vote, you can text yes or no to the number 4226.
Well, now joining us live for her perspective on the Trinidad and Tobago elections is our resident political analyst, Maureen Holder. Maureen, good night. Thanks for joining us.
Good night, Lisa.
Now, we have come to pretty much the end of a very spirited campaign, and you've said that you wouldn't be surprised if Kamla retained, her People's Partnership Coalition retained the government. Why did you say that?
Well, Lisa, it's generally expected that the PNM will win the government. The polls indicate that, and some observers hint to it. But I'm of the opinion that the People's Partnership will retain the government, and that's largely because of the type of campaign that was fought. Now, the People's Partnership managed somehow to place the PNM on the defensive when it should have been the other way around. You found that the PNM had to defend its leader's image. They had to even defend policies that were implemented when former Prime Minister Patrick Manning was in power. So it was a very strong campaign in terms of how it was fought, very bitter and lots of mudslinging, as you would have heard. But generally speaking, the mere fact that they fought it based on personalities rather than issues, in my view, gave the People's Partnership the edge.
Now, in the event that she does win another 5-year term, what do you think will be the state of the coalition government going forward?
Well, I think that the coalition government would get more confidence going in. Remember, it came to power, that coalition government came to power in 2010. And this win, if they should win, would give them more confidence in terms of what coalition governments mean to Trinidad and Tobago. In fact, coalition governments are all about consensus democracies, and therefore a win would certainly send a signal in terms of the system of government that is expected to continue in Trinidad and Tobago. So we tend to favor a majority single party rule, but this coalition government is proving that it could actually act and serve like a single party majority, albeit it comprises of various small parties that came together, with obviously the dominant party being the UNC that fielded 28 candidates.
And over that 5 years, there's been a lot of rumbling. There was a lot of
Precisely.
disquiet, but
they stayed together.
They stayed together.
They
Kamala
stayed
seemed to have
intact.
had a stronghold on the party.
That's right. And again, her presence, she appears very charismatic in my view. I think that she overshadowed any image of Keith Rowley. Remember, she has been prime minister. She has served one term before, and therefore it was in her interest to defend her party's policies. But she didn't have to do that. Just by sidelining her opponent in terms of his personality, in terms of his image, she was able to do that decisively and strategically. And on that basis, I think we could see a People's Partnership government retaining power.
Now, quickly on Dr. Rowley, if he wins, if the PNM wins, what should be their first order of business?
Well, obviously the economy, there were no debates, as you would know. The key issues like the economy, the mere fact that oil prices have dropped, that has impacted Trinidad's economy, the infrastructural development, the social issues like crime and so on. He would have to well, he's never been prime minister before, and based on his manifestos, the manifestos came out late, so there was nothing really telling and concrete in those manifestos. What he'll have to do, he would have to tell the people of Trinidad and Tobago how he intends to take the country forward, how he intends to deal with the issues, the fiscal issues, how he intends to make Trinidad better, and how he intends to bridge the ethnic divide that sometimes encroaches upon the political scene in Trinidad and Tobago. So by and large, he has a job cut out for him.
And finally, oh, well, sorry, I was going to ask about Jack Warner's impact on the election, if any, but we...
Well,
okay, let's go ahead with that question.
I mean, Jack Warner, what can you say about Jack Warner? He's talking as usual. He made his remarks. He issued threats early on in the campaign, but nothing seemed to have stuck. So we've seen Kamala Prasad-Bisasar independently taking a lead and taking a image and a confidence on her own that was not dependent on what failures her party went through, what anomalies, because there are a number of issues that could have been tackled on the campaign trail, but unfortunately, they weren't.
Okay, Maureen, thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Lisa.
We both anxiously await the outcome of this election.
Indeed.
Maureen Holder, our resident political analyst. Well, government has already committed over $330 million to restructure CLECO. The disclosure in the upper house from Senator Jeter Ince. It was during debate on a bill intended to provide guarantees for the preservation of investments made by policyholders of CLECO International Life. The legislation provides, among other things, for the formation of two companies, one to handle the real estate assets and the other the life insurance business. Senator Ince believes government now has a solution to what has always been a private sector problem.
We have already committed approximately 332, and it could be more than that based on calculations. But I have made an approximation. So to date, Madam President, against a deficit of about $377 million. And as I said, that is based on projections. So, Madam President, I am confident, and I'm saying to the policyholders and to the people of Barbados that continue to have confidence in this Democratic Labour Party administration. We have faced these things before, and when you look at what we have done, when we speak to projects,
Senator Ince told the upper house the government guarantees encompass a number of areas.
It also covers, as I said, the EFPA, the guarantees cover the EFPAs, individual, corporate, traditional policyholders. This is the stage one of the Barbados side of it. The corporate EFPAs, as I mentioned earlier, Madam President, will be transferred to what I term NLECO. Principal value will be converted to preference shares.
Leader of Government Business in the Senate, Maxine McLean, says CLECO still controls significant assets in Barbados. And she says any solutions proposed by government have had to be carefully considered to ensure policyholders are not disadvantaged.
I believe, Madam President, at the end of the day, when we follow through on what this legislation seeks to do, the overall interests of all parties, those directly affected, those not affected directly, or those who had no interest but who will be called upon as taxpayers of this country, as would have occurred in other countries in which, other jurisdictions in which the overall conglomerate had interest, that those several stakeholders would, at the end of the day, the best good or the better good would prevail.
Well, although he supports the guarantee for CLECO, opposition Senator Wilfred Abrams says he blames government for the delay in bringing the matter to an end. He's urged the administration to look at the classes of people involved and prioritize how they will repay those who invested in the company.
Segregate and deal with those who in the normal course of things would have put their money in to secure their pensions first. Those who paid in to get high, this might be unpopular, those who paid in to get the benefit of high interest, then I believe their consideration is actually second. The primary consideration should be the protection and reimbursements to those who are most vulnerable, who have lost all of their savings or had their pension collapse and have nothing to secure them in their old age.
And that bill was passed. In other news now, after a 9-week summer break, thousands of primary and secondary school students returned to classrooms today. Kishmar Singis visited a number of primary and secondary schools to see how the first day of the Michaelmas term began.
From the bus terminals, van stands to the nation's roads and streets, students were making their way to school as the term opened. From Parkinson Memorial, Belmont Primary, St. Giles Primary and Combermere School, classes were on. The day started off with prayers and reciting of the National Pledge. For some students, it's a whole new environment. These are the first farmers and reception classes, the newest intake of several schools. These little ones that make up the reception class over at St. Giles Primary didn't seem too nervous. Their parents were on hand nearby to lend support.
Trying to go through, the little steps with him, show him where bathroom is, stuff like that, where to meet me on evenings, so you be comfortable.
Very excited, everything in place from since last night, so I had no problems with her this morning. She was all excited. We were here from 8 o'clock, so everything went well.
As for the little ones, they were ready to learn.
What is your name?
Chico.
Are you here at school today? How you feel?
Happy.
Yeah, made any friends as yet?
Yeah, Zachary.
What is your name?
Zachary.
Okay. Your first day of school, who brought you to school today?
Yes.
Your mommy brought you?
Yes,
Daddy?
please.
What is your name?
Chelsea.
How old are you?
4 years.
You ready? You're here at school? Ready to learn?
Yes, please.
Other parents too were just as excited, but for other reasons. The summer break was over.
I feel happy and she feel happy as well. So I just glad that I'm back to school from for the road and stuff like that.
I feel happy that my son is back at the school. Vacation is over. It's time to get learning again.
Principal of Belmont Primary, Pamela Eiffel, expects the new term to go well.
The plant is pretty much ready. Classes are arranged. We spent all of last week planning for the beginning of the school term, and teachers are generally, most of them are already here very early, a very good sign for the new school year, and we are expecting a very productive school year.
It was back to Waterford for Combermere students after portions of the last school term saw them being housed at the Samuel Jackman Prescott Polytechnic. Principal Vera Parrish says there were no concerns expressed in light of recent environmental challenges.
This morning is the first morning when the students are here back at Waterford, and everybody seems excited to be back here again. We surely are. And for all Combermereans, it is always good to be home.
This new term will run for 14 weeks, ending for students on Thursday, December 10th, and for teachers on Friday, December 11th. Kishmar Singis, CBC News.
Well, for many primary school students, parents and teachers in the St. Andrew area, the start of this school year was an historic occasion. The eagerly anticipated merger of the Chalky Mount Primary and the A. Da Costa Edwards Primary finally took effect and from all indications was a success.
The unsafe conditions which forced students of the Chalky Mount Primary to temporarily relocate have been addressed. From today, the Chalky Mount Primary was officially amalgamated with the A. Da Costa Edwards Primary School. Although students living in Chalky Mount are now forced to take a longer journey to school, a bus service is being provided to ensure transportation is not an issue. Speaking after the end of the first day, Principal Laureen Hines said the merger was almost flawless.
The general behavior of the parents was exemplary. They were all on board. They were supportive, and it went smoothly. No hitches at all.
Senior teacher Celeste Murray, who said this was her first time working with the principal, is very happy with the day's success.
It was wonderful. We just gelled, and it was really a historic occasion. So I found that there was a lot of positive response from both students and parents. It was really a good day.
Despite the positive reports, some parents expressed concern about the transportation of students. Shakira Boyce, whose son was affected by the change, says it was not as smooth as she expected. With her child traveling a greater distance for school, she wants a better effort made to ensure children are transported safely and in a timely manner.
There's no bus. We was here from this morning, 8 o'clock on the dot, and the bus comes about after 9. And he was late for his first day. That's not good.
The principal responded to these concerns.
I'm assured by the charter, the drivers of the charter, that they're going to drive through every district. They're going to stop at every bus stop. They're going to collect every child, and they're going to bring every child down here. There is a teacher who will be on the bus because she lives in the area. She will even guarantee that it is a smooth movement, but I see no problems at all. People just have to give a chance for the system to work.
Transportation aside, the transition to the new school is receiving a passing grade. Sean Farrell, CBC News.
Coming up, a bus crashes into a house on Bay Street.
Hi, I'm Red Plastic Bag. Anyone who knows me knows I don't like cold. Sunshine reigns in my country. I love it.
Get your sun power.
Shopping in the sky is simply delicious at our mouth-watering brand new Sky Food Court. Our amazing spread includes Little Pleasures ice cream, coffee, and desserts. Authentic Asian cuisine at Waldy's Walk. Delectable Greek dining at Opa Express. A range of sumptuous Caribbean dishes at Tamarind of the Islands. And the very best of Bajan cuisine and pastries. Compliments Master Chef Peter Edie and his delightful pastry house and Peter Patties. Plus, we've got the world-renowned fast food giant Burger King. You cannot pass Haggett Hall and not join us for a quick delicious meal for breakfast, lunch, and dinner at our brand new food court. Only at Sky Mall, where when it comes to great fast food, there are no limits.
A major incident was avoided when a transport board bus ran into the side of a house earlier today in Bay Street. When CBC visited the scene, Corporate Communications Manager Linda Holder was on hand to say there were no injuries to any individuals.
At this time, this is being investigated by the Royal Barbados Police Force as to what actually occurred, so I can't speak to that. But we are able to say that there was no damage to person on board the bus, and that we are working with the occupant of the house to see how we can make sure that tonight she is able to sleep comfortably because there is significant damage to the house.
Occupant of the house, Jermaine Austin, says he heard the collision which resulted in damage to some household items.
All I hear was a loud noise. And when I came out, I saw the bus, you could say, inside the house.
Motorists are now paying less for gasoline, diesel and kerosene. Effective midnight last night, the cost of gasoline fell by 8 cents from $3.27 per litre to $3.19 per litre. Diesel prices also fell by 9 cents, moving from $2.29 per litre to $2.20 per litre. The price of kerosene, that is, has dropped as well, this time by 6 cents. Barbadians will now pay $1.18 per litre, down from $1.24 per litre. Meantime, the cost of LPG or bottled gas also fell last night. The price of the 100-pound cylinder moved from $156.36 to $151.29, a reduction of $5.07. The 25-pound cylinder will now be sold at $42.92, down from $44.19, a savings of $1.27, and the new price of the 22-pound cylinder is $37.94, a decrease of $1.11. There's also been a $1.01 reduction in the price of the 20-pound cylinder, which will now retail at $34.49. Child psychologist Juanita Wharton wants to see Barbados revert to the days when children were looked after by the community. She's of the view that the adage, "It takes a village to raise a child," is still relevant despite Barbados's development.
Back in that day, you didn't need so much psychologists and social workers. If you had persons who were on the ground, who were working with the children, who were looking to see when challenges arose and putting things in place before they escalated to the point where we see challenges escalating today. Government needs to do its part, yes. But I think more can be done if we go back to the principles of it takes a village to raise a child, and to the principles of looking out and being our neighbor's keeper.
The Ministry of Social Care has been mandated to put the relevant policies and mechanisms in place to cater to the diverse needs of Barbados's older population. The action, according to Minister Steve Blackett, comes as the island is listed as the first Caribbean country to have more than 10% of its population classified as elderly. He says the National Assistance Board will be playing a major role in this regard.
The National Assistance Board, which is the governmental agency which has specific responsibilities for looking after the affairs of the elderly, has been assigned the instrumental role of ensuring that members of this targeted group have access to and are actually provided with these benefits and services, all of which may be considered as fundamental rights as opposed to being privileges as perceived by some in society.
Mr. Blackett says the National Assistance Board over its 35 years has improved the lives of many people through several programs. Its volunteer program has also been going well.
Closely related to the home care program is the Helping Hands volunteer program, which was conceptualized to enhance the services rendered by this program. The primary goal was to ensure that those home care recipients who seldom or did not leave their homes for varying reasons, but often because of lack of mobility, were afforded opportunities to become active through volunteers, reading, interacting, and playing games with them in an attempt to stimulate and motivate them.
Still to come, a look at some of the stories making headlines across the region. Stay with us.
My name is Joyce Bino.
My name is Derek Dean.
My name is Edwin Golden. I've been with A1 Supermarket for 34 years.
14 years for the past 11 years.
What we do best at A1 is meeting